Stacking my coin, Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum, cash. Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum, cash. Stacking my coin, stacking my coin, stacking my coin, stacking my coin. Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum, cash. Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum, cash. Since I was born, been stacking my coin. These niggas pop, my money keep growing. Your girl is a dot, she all on my groin. She blowing my horn, we fuck like porn. These rappers is whack, they lyrics are corn. I'm getting this money, it never get born. I'm loading my strap, they calling law. Fuck around and you clap for running your jaw. If it ain't about the dollars, then it don't make sense. Got me sipping brown water, but it ain't from Flint. Trying to chase all this bread, though the shit won't last. About to shut the city down like a crypto crash. Stacking my coin, stacking my coin, stacking my coin, stacking my coin. Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum, cash. Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum, cash. Stacking my coin, stacking my coin, stacking my coin, stacking my coin. Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum, cash. Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum, cash.
Smoking on that crippy got me cliff high. Steam pot, heat rock, slingshot. Surfing through the city while them chips rise. Hot boy, do it big time. Element with my summer bay, we booed up. Cali hit the bay, we fly MIA, we pulled up. Sipping on this drink, bitch, I know the way. We juiced up, nigga violate till it's JFK like your roof up. Coin daddy bout them chips, nigga rap snacks. Face all in a box, nigga Snapchat. Fucking with the ops to get you clapped back. No cap, nigga rap.
Stacking my coin, stacking my coin, stacking my coin, stacking my coin. Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum, cash. Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum, cash. Stacking my coin, stacking my coin, stacking my coin, stacking my coin. Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum, cash. Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum, cash. Yeah. Yeah. Stacking my coin, stacking my coin. Stacking my coin, stacking my coin. Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum, cash. Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum, cash. Stacking my coin, stacking my coin. Stacking my coin, stacking my coin. Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum, cash. Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum, cash. Since I was born, been stacking my coin. These niggas pop, my money keep growing.
Hulk Hogan, we coming for you, nigga. Hulk Hogan, we coming for you, nigga.
This episode is brought to you by FairDesk, a crypto derivatives trading platform founded by 6 former Binance execs and 3 former Morgan Stanley architects. FairDesk is a company focused on building a platform that enables traders to profit from both rising and falling markets. Sign up today and CB will credit you up to $600 in trading funds. For more information, visit fairdesk.com, link in the description below.
What's up?
Yeah, baby. Episode 103. Free rights. He's home, people.
Doing it live. I am free.
Fuck it. Do it live. I can
Fuck it, right. Let's do it live.
Do it live.
It's the best way to do it.
Fucking thing sucks. We'll do it live.
Make sure you're smashing them like buttons out there, people. I am free.
He is free.
People.
He is free. What's going on, bro?
Apparently, I was either abducted by aliens. Somebody, apparently Ben Armstrong came and abducted me and captured me. I was in some sort of a cage in a basement. I'm not really sure what people were speculating, but I am, of course, free. I am still here. Actually, I never went anywhere unless this is just something that I just got high and completely forgot about, and I'm not aware of the fact that I just lost a couple weeks of my time. It's just maybe people just happen to think that I'm not doing anything because YouTube doesn't suggest my fucking videos.
You only exist, you only exist when me and you do videos together. Clearly, round of applause.
Well, that's a good thing. That should also say something about us for 2024.
Yeah.
Bloody Rice 2024.
Let's see.
We're gonna
Let's
take over
see.
this motherfucker.
Absolutely. I put a poll out there on my channel. What was Rice in jail for? Okay, pandering, slandering, or buying Bitcoin? Right now, ladies and gentlemen, most people are saying buying Bitcoin. That was what we were in jail for.
Do we have a poll going of what I was locked up for?
Yeah, I got one over on my side.
It would be more of a resisting arrest, if anything. That would be the problem, because I'm just not gonna let any 5-0 take me anywhere. I like my freedom.
Shout out to Selmo Foot for the super sticker. We appreciate you, my friend. Mr. Skila, good to see Rice back. See?
Always captured
See?
by the herb, but that doesn't. I don't melt into a couch or happen to like just go away from reality because of the herb.
Okay, hold on, guys.
We so much herb. You've been around me, man.
Yeah, we gotta go to. We having too much fun, ladies and gents. We gotta go to the actual rate hike
in the
real quick. So let's go to that really quick, and we'll get back to you guys.
Maybe a little bit earlier, sort of towards 2025 or the end of 2025, and they see below trend growth of 1.4% next year, a tenth less than the September.
Kevin O'Leary put on some weight.
Unemployment rate seen at 4.1 next year, about 4/10 higher than the September forecast. And then they repeat the statement that job gains have moderated but remain strong. Now, there's something in the dot plot that I think is worth pointing out. While that median did come down from 5.1 to 4.6, there are 5 Fed officials who are below that 4.6 number who see a full 100 basis points of rate cuts next year, and they're even more dovish into 2025. If you remember, the September forecast, there had been at least one Fed official who was above 6%. That's gone, and the top of the dot plot now for next year is now 5.40. So I would say that the Federal Reserve that today took a step towards the market rather than the market taking a step towards the Fed. I wouldn't say it's an all clear on this, but the Fed definitely backing off plans to hike additionally, or making certain that it plans to hike, and also forecasting more in the way of rate cuts next year for the average Fed official than they had in September. Tyler?
And we are seeing, Steve, about the clearest market reaction we've seen to a meeting in some time, with stocks shooting higher. Dow's up about 150 points right now. And the 10-year yield just sank, at least almost 10 basis points.
Look at that, ladies and gents. Bitcoin making a move back up, taking out local highs.
What are we sitting at? Like 42?
42,404, ladies and gents.
Okay.
We
saw a nice healthy retrace.
Rather aggressively, the drop 2-year note yields getting down to a 453 level. They were around 467, so about 13-14 basis point drop. I think what is noteworthy here is
close to that 5%.
The PPI in particular today, there's very little doubt that we see inflation showing. And the new game in town is to, of course, look at the current monthly rates and annualize them over 3 and 6 months. And
make sure you guys smash that like button. Make sure you subscribe to both of our channels. We are live streaming on Rumble, YouTube. I don't know wherever else.
Twitter and get it very close
Twitter as well. We're all over the place.
Well, that's all fine and dandy, and I do think that will afford them the ability to come somewhere between the market, 80 basis points, 110 basis points, whatever easing many see. And it is an election year, and it certainly seems to be baked in the cake. The problem is
it's a
that
selection
as we
year.
look forward through the windshield with these annualized, very specific inflation metrics, the real issue for Main Street America is the windshield looks optimistic because all the inflation's embedded in the rearview mirror. We have compounded and solidified many of the price increases in the system. Moving forward, that rate of increase might move to 0 and afford the Fed the ability to slow it down. But I continue to think of things like the Writers Guild strike, the auto workers up 25% over 4 years, Vegas casino workers first year 11.3% increase, airline pilots 34 to 40% increase. If we look at what's going on with UPS, 170 grand a year with benefits and pay increases. The reason I mention this is those obviously are in the rearview mirror as well, but they have set up a footing of pricing issues that will continue to hurt the market with regard to more workers, of course, and I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but there's going to be ongoing pressure for many others to continue to boost pay, and I think that cycle isn't going to be going away as quickly, even though the Fed will have the ability to lower rates in the future.
What do you think
Bob
What do you think is
Pisani,
going to
what would you
happen
add as we
today,
look at the
Blood?
What do you mean?
Do you think we're just going to continue with the pause? You think we're going to raise interest rates? Are we going to lower interest rates? What is Sure Powell going to be doing, you think?
10% on the S&P since the last
Well,
Fed meeting. It's
first of all,
expectations that Powell would acknowledge
I have to fix my screen because it's showing a damn
lower
what the hell this is right here.
Estimates, for example,
Yeah, I didn't know what pulled up when you went.
Yeah.
When you
Let me pause this. Let me pause this and so I can hear myself first. I'll mute it. I won't pause it because we'll come back to the stream.
Yeah.
Once Jerome Powell gets up there. But let me see what's going on with my screen real quick, bro. I don't know what the hell happened.
If you guys have not taken an opportunity to give this video a thumbs up, it's supposed to help the algorithm. We would greatly appreciate it. We are collaborating on both of our YouTube channels, co-streaming, Rumble, his Twitter account. Anything else?
I'm on Rumble. I'm on Twitter. I'm on YouTube. I'm everywhere, ladies and gentlemen. You ain't never there.
Copy roll. We got some news to talk about. We got a few things to kind of cover. I want to get your thoughts on the Bitcoin, Mr. Bitcoin. Talk about where we're at, where we're headed. I want to get some.
Let me just see what happened to my
Cryptodamus predictions.
Guys. See what happened to the screen. I think it timed out on me.
And if people haven't had a chance, I did some really cool recent interviews, live interviews with. I had Crypto Face on yesterday, and then last week I had Jordan from Waters Above, and I also had a conversation with the guy from British Hodl as well. So I encourage people, if they haven't checked those out, to check those out. And there's some exclusive content over on the Rumble, Odyssey, and BitChute, and you guys can watch all my videos directly from my actual website, ricetvx.com.
Nice. So I'm dragging everything back over.
What's up, Crypto King?
Yeah, we got Crypto King in the house.
Good. I'm glad that you popped in the chat and said what's up, because I need you. You reminded me about something you contacted me about, so I will get on top of that. Thank you.
Yeah, you reminded me as well, my friend, because you know what? Where in the world is Richard San Diego, ladies and gentlemen? That's what I'm trying to figure out.
Thank you, KLM.
Where the hell is Richard?
I actually did two with Archaics, so be sure to check those out. And you can find them on Rice.
Let's talk about Richard first, bro, because Richard Hart seems like he has been served.
Merry Christmas, Mark Carl Art. Where was that $20 coming from? Your side?
Mr. Mark Carl, thank you for the super chat, my friend. Merry Christmas to you. Happy Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, whatever you people out there.
Whatever you celebrate.
Whatever you celebrate. So let's take a look at this Rice really quickly. SEC finally serves ex-founder Richard Hart with lawsuit alleging fraud.
Yeah, and you made me aware of this. I mean, the interesting thing is, as you know, if people read this article, which I haven't done in its entirety, just kind of skimmed over it, but it looks like they weren't actually able to serve Richard directly, being a slimy dick he is. No, I'm just saying. Dick for short, Richard for long.
Hulk Hogan, we coming
But
for you, nigga.
They had to use a law in Finland because of because he apparently resided in Finland to use some sort of third-party service to serve him, even though they weren't able to physically serve him. So at this point, as far as legal terms are set, he's been served. So if he doesn't show up to the proceedings, I think it's going to add a lot more problems for his situation. So it's going to be interesting to watch. My Crypto Space UK says Richard will be picking up the soap.
Yeah,
I don't know.
What do you think about that?
I don't know. I don't think he could, unless he gets in like a really nice like prison, like a Fed prison. I don't know if he could really handle like a real prison, like because he's probably going to do some time.
You think so? So that's what I was going to ask you. Do you think Richard Hart will do some time?
I think if they have the evidence that they're going to try to make an example of somebody, because like the Reggie Middleton example is just kind of disappeared. Nobody even fucking knows about that shit. Most people, like especially newer people in crypto that have gotten in since like 2020, have no clue what Veritasium was, the situation that Reggie dealt with what he was doing with Veritasium, and even where he's at now. A lot of people don't seem to care about the fact of him holding one of the most powerful patents in regards to cryptocurrency in the world, and nobody really seems to be paying a lot of attention to that. So I think it's
they don't pay the black man no attention, unfortunately.
No, but I think if they can make an example of somebody, I think they would, like, especially with the way that Richard Hart has been portraying himself over the past few years, you know, with like the multiple Rolexes, the spinning display case, the Gucci bags and Prada bags. He's using his background accessories to the clothes that he wears, to the diamond that he bought. Very braggadocious.
All that nigga shit he did is gonna come back and haunt him.
That's what I'm saying. They're gonna make it. I feel like if they've got enough evidence,
that's not gonna look good for him.
And had he gone, and I've said this before, this is just my personal feelings, but had there not been an element with Hex specifically, because I haven't done enough research when it comes to Pulse and Pulse X. I know there's a sacrifice, and that was gonna do with the airdrop, but when it came to Hex. The original idea of minting Hex was because it would be based off of a snapshot of you owning Bitcoin at that specific moment when they did the snapshot. And then you can mint your own coins. If it would have just been kind of a fair launch kind of thing like that and just been left alone, he would have been fine. But I think when they offered up that, I don't know if you want to call it a portal or whatever, but there was a website where you could deposit Ethereum and get Hex. And the question really is, who got the Ethereum? Well, who created the project? And it didn't seem to be like a lot of people involved, so it was really easy to kind of figure out, even though he seemed to cover his ass well. I think that by offering the token, it was basically offering a token sale.
Yeah.
Whatever you want to call it. Even the sacrifice phase would just be different terminology for a pre ICO kind of situation, IPO situation, preceding.
Yeah. So it doesn't really matter what
Richard
he thinks.
Not trying to like
we
knock
think.
him.
No, right, not at all. But it's they're going to make the rules. They set the rules, you know. And we saw what happened with CZ. We see what happened with Binance, $4 billion. They're coming down. It's a concerted effort.
And they got a World Economic Forum member as a CEO.
Exactly.
So it's like they put people in their place. CZ still has ownership, but they put people in their place to let them know who's in control.
He put himself in an untwerkable position.
I don't know. He may have to twerk.
He may have to twerk.
That may be how
straight up scam. Look at HR moves.
His hustle will be twerking.
No, like I
twerking
said,
for noodles.
It's all about optics, and optically, it's not a good look for him in this current position against the SEC. They tried to find, you know, kind of slightly evading, right? That the whole Gucci Louis spending spree, Rolls Royce. Which one? The charges are he allegedly spent user funds on those.
That's part of the charges. That's not all he's being charged with. So, and they'll probably drop certain things to make a deal, because I imagine that this will. Richard's going to do what's best for Richard.
You're kind of going out for some reason. I think it's maybe the settings, the echo, because this happened to someone else that was on.
I have the echo cancellation turned off. You mean turn it off?
Okay, now I can hear you.
But it's been turned off. My microphone. Let me see. Maybe I just need to like move it closer to my mouth.
Like you said, word semantics won't protect you, and we've seen this many times over with other projects that the SEC have come after.
Well, ICO was a word semantic for a public offering.
Yeah. He made a movie as well. He didn't make the movie. He was commissioned, like they reached out to him to be in the movie. I think you interviewed the director. No, you didn't. I interviewed the director of that movie. Seemed like a very good movie. He,
Default.
well put together. What Default say? Oh, we need Default's view on this. Well, Default's view is he told us that rate hikes were coming. He said rates were going to go down in October, but facts don't matter. He said round of applause, aka Default, aka John Hill. Yeah, we would love to hear what John Hill has to say about Mr. Richard San Diego. Maybe we'll have you come on at the end of the show.
Yeah, I don't know.
We got about
is my mic sounding
15
okay now?
minutes. Yeah, sounding good. 15 more minutes before we hop back over to Jerome Powell's double speak Fed conference. What do you think is going to say?
I mean, I think they're going to pause. In all honesty, I think they're going to pause. I don't think they're going to do anything.
Well, they paused, but I'm saying,
but I think that there's going to be some hawkish language, some very hawkish language, because we're not done with the battle. Even though the CPI numbers came in and pretty much a little bit lower, I believe, than expected, but not much. Doesn't mean that we're in the clear. So, I mean, inflation can certainly bite us back in the ass again. So, and I believe just by listening to a lot of smarter people that could very well be the situation. So either they're going to leave things the way they are for a little bit, but what's the biggest problem that I'm going to see with this, with continuing with a pause and not doing anything, is that they said 4 meetings ago or 3 meetings ago, not including this, that that's when they said they were pausing, but there was going to be one more rate hike this year. And we are at the last meeting of the year. Yep. So if they don't do a rate hike, then to me, they're going back on what they've said, which should indicate that they don't have a lot of control over the situation, in my opinion, because otherwise they were speculating on something that they should have control over. And with us not being in that position, it kind of, to me, makes the Fed look bad. But at the same time, I don't think that they want the stock market to completely go up, because from what I understand, I think the S&P hit all-time highs just in the past 2-3 days.
I don't think so.
Are you sure? I thought I heard somebody say that, and I could be off.
It hit 52-week highs.
52-week high.
I don't think it. Yeah, here's the 52-week high today, but all-time highs. Well, we're damn close, but no, not there yet. Okay. Very close though. Very close, Rice.
So I mean, if we pause, I mean, we could see the markets going up further, and then us actually hitting those all-time highs. And I don't think that that's going to be conducive to the situation going, seeing the markets becoming more inflated. That's where we could get in this potential idea of a melt up situation that people have been talking about as well, versus a melt down. Definitely, let's get 25,000 subscribers. We both have been stuck in our numbers, and I would love to see both of us grow, but definitely make sure you guys are subscribed. Hey, I made it back over 32.3 again for the third time this year.
Oh,
back over 32,300 for the third time. Yeah.
For the third
YouTube has been very, very generous to me and my channel.
Yeah.
Promoting.
Yeah. So, hey, man, we'll get there, guys. We'll get there. It's been an uphill battle, but you gotta keep. Yeah, you gotta keep subscribing. Telling people to subscribe to the channel. Telling people to watch our show. All that good stuff, man. That's the only way.
Smash that like button. Down there somewhere.
Who we got? Those. Well, for me, you might want to smash the like button over here. I want you to smack. I want you to smack that ass. Smack that thumbs up for me, please, ladies and gentlemen.
I don't know what gateway process is, but I'll check into it, KLM.
What's that?
I don't know what gateway process is. But he asked if I had investigated it, and I'll check in, seeing what it is.
So tell me, I didn't get a chance. We got about 10 minutes, 11 minutes. I didn't get a chance to watch the latest Above Waters. Am I saying that right, or is it Waters Above? Waters Above interview. Give me a summation of what happened in that interview, and let people know where they can find it. I'll drop a link to it right now.
I mean, some of it I don't know like what to call it off the top of my head, but astrologically we shifted into some sort of astrological sign that isn't exactly positive on the 12th yesterday. And I was telling him that was really interesting, being that we have the FOMC results coming out on Wednesday the 13th. What he was saying was that he sees us going down over the course of this week and for the next few weeks, but sees us ending the month not higher than we are now, but kind of going back up. And he didn't really speculate exactly like what he was thinking. I think maybe it might have been somewhere around like a 20% correction. Few people messaged me and commented on the video that the flash crash that we had over the weekend, that he was early in his prediction. So, I mean, I take a lot of this stuff. I mean, I try to look at it from a lot of different perspectives. That's why I had Crypto Face on. And then
what did he
what
say?
is above. Crypto Face kind of feels like we're in the same position, that we're a little overheated and we've gone up a lot this year and we should see some retracement. But he's also, in the long terms thinking that, we're going to be ending next year a lot higher than we are now. So, it's trying to look at these things from different perspectives because like Crypto Face is completely technical analysis driven, along with his market cipher tools, where Jordan actually from Waters Above takes some technical analysis and then puts all these other things into play with it. Because then we have the April 8th, we have a total solar eclipse, April 8th. And then we have the halving like a few weeks after that. So, and that we're in a solar phase that he says should end in like mid 2025. And a solar phase, he's saying, is bullish. Now, that doesn't mean number go up constantly. Obviously, you're going to have some volatility and some retracements and testing of support and resistance.
So that's the thing with me. Like, I don't just do technical analysis and I take it a little bit deeper. And I think fundamentally, you have fundamentals in there. I just feel like we're overheated, and it just seems so right that the market has run up for us to get shut back down and drop. It's like a run up, a compensation, right? Because if we would have just stayed where we were, like at those lower levels, let's say around 20,000, 25,000, and then we get the no go on the ETF, spot ETF, that would have really, really been bad. That would have violated a lot of technicals to the downside.
Right.
So for us running up, I think it gives us room. You get what I'm saying? It gives us some room to come back down, but not violate too many technical.
Right. Well, I mean, just think about it. We were sitting at like 15.5, 16K at the beginning of the year, and we hit 44.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and we've done this all before a halving, which we don't generally see the price of Bitcoin hit all-time highs before a halving. And definitely shout out to Trends Journal. I appreciate Crypto King for hooking us up. And if people haven't seen the interview that I did with Gerald Celente, you can go on my channel. Actually, that's
him too.
That's one of the interviews I'm going to be re-releasing over the next few weeks.
That too.
Gerald's awesome. Gerald is one of the coolest old people I have had a chance to communicate with or even listen to. Like, I like people like G. Edward Griffin and stuff, but they're not quite. They don't have
animated,
right? They're not as outspoken.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I like Lynette Zhang the same way as a female version, and they're friends. They've done interviews together.
Let me know when you re-release, so I'll re-release it the same day, so we can kind of maybe, I don't know,
play off of each other. Maybe
put the thumb up the algo's ass or something. I don't know.
Get a little Gerald Celente Trends Journal, because he is the foremost trend caster when it comes to forecasting trends. As I hate giving a definition by using words that are part of what I'm defining, but I think people get what we're talking about. But
I just think back to the Bitcoin thing though, Rice. I think we've run too much.
Well, we've been talking about that all year. We've been,
and it's perfect scenario for us to not get an ETF next month, literally next month.
But now that's something that's something I really want to look into, because the 10th of January is the final deadline on ARK Invest's ETF application. So I don't think that they're allowed to, they would have to deny it.
Say what now?
The January 10th is the final deadline for ARK Invest.
Right.
Which
Blackhawk too, right?
I don't think, no, let me see if, because I have a chart let me see if I have it handy and I can drop it to you in Telegram. It's a chart
you can't share your screen?
I have to get let me find the image real quick while we're doing this.
So yeah, man, I personally, so I just want to shout out to Side Still Studios for putting this together right here. January 1st, ladies and gentlemen, Bitcoin. This is the show that, or the documentary CB will be featured in.
Hold on, is it coming out when?
January 1st, ladies and gentlemen.
Finally. I've been waiting for this, man. What is it about?
Sentra, baby, Sentra.
Okay.
Let's go ahead and watch the trailer again.
Are you in the trailer?
I don't think so. Let's watch it.
It's because you're black. I can't really hear anything.
You can't hear it?
No, is there supposed to be sound?
Oh, hold on. Let me start it over, ladies and gents.
Kid, I've always wanted to be a criminal. If I could have put it in my yearbook, I would have put, I want to be a criminal. Things have changed. Nowadays, you got to figure out some sort of way to finesse the system.
My name is Raymond Trapani, Chief Operating Officer at Sentra Tech.
Our pitch to the world was that we were going to create a debit card where you'd be able to spend your cryptocurrency in real time.
It's an electronic money.
Something about bitcoins or something.
I was all about Sentra Tech. I was like, look at this. This makes sense. Just watching something become extremely valuable, it's like a drug.
Tons of money just starts flooding in. 100,000, another 100,000.
It was probably the most exciting thing I've ever experienced in my life.
We didn't know anything about this business, but it didn't matter at all. It was too easy.
Ray, Visa's just saying this company, Sentra, is not allowed to issue a card with Visa on it.
I know details about that. I can't give you direct answers on that.
It just didn't make sense. Things looked funny.
They have nothing. So the whole thing is to now make themselves as legitimate as possible.
It was very suspicious. I started noticing that things were changing on their website. The pictures didn't even look like real people. I researched the founders. Wow, the CEO is actually Raymond's grandfather.
There was an aspect to Sentra that was really brazen.
We are 100%
live high. Hey!
No one ever says that unless it's actually a scam.
This show is as
This shady company just graduated to the next level.
They started taking actions to try
Bedridden,
and find
I'm
things.
aware,
Money
and
started going out
I'm
of
not
accounts.
sharing anything.
Somebody needs to figure out what the hell is going on here. I took a considerable loss.
Obviously, something was not right.
It's like giving a middle finger to the FBI.
Is this supposed to be a documentary?
Yeah,
absolutely.
It looks like a movie.
I
These
know.
guys are frauds too.
Yeah, I mean, they did it in a way where it was
totally looks like a
really
movie. That's
cinematic.
slick.
Yeah,
That's
they did a
slick,
good
man.
job, man. That studio is.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing you're gonna see in the reflection is this screen, which is what you see, what me and you see. It's just the StreamYard screen, my camera, my television, my lights. Yeah, nothing damaging. So yeah, you see the January 10th is the final deadline for ARK Invest. I think they either have to let it go through or completely deny it, which means
Where's Blackhawk? Where's Blackhawk on here?
They're iShares BlackRock company. Their final deadline is March 15th. So if they can approve everybody between a lot of people are speculating between the 5th and the 10th of January because of this final deadline date. I've got to look more into this, but I'm assuming final deadline means final deadline, which means they have to either accept it or they have to deny it. It's one or the two.
So thank you for bringing this up because I didn't know the timeline, but I'm gonna give you my theory on what's going to happen now. I think we're going to see a denial of the ARC. But you see here.
Well, you see that
Grayscale's
passed the final deadline as well.
Right, but the grouping of all the other ones are on around the same day, March 15th, March 14th. You got like 6 or 7.
Yeah, and then
what if they allow
March 19th.
They do one fell swoop of an allowance green light for those ETFs on March 15th or nearabouts? I can see that happening.
I don't see them. Yeah, I know. I just don't see them keeping ARK Invest and Grayscale out of the first gate that's approved.
Nope.
So, and if they deny ARK would have to reapply.
That's fine. They can reapply right away.
They do that. I just don't get it happening.
You don't. What do you mean? You don't.
Now, but if we see them denying it on the 10th.
Oh, you see them passing it on the 10th.
That's where I got to look into what they're allowed to do. The situation with Grayscale went to court, so I don't know what I don't know where we're at with this, but there's been meetings with the SEC, apparently with the SEC and BlackRock. There's been meetings with the SEC and Vanguard. BlackRock, and I don't know if I told you this, but this is something me and British Huddle talked about, and it was something that one of the things that he brought up was, I think it was in 2022. They launched a private Bitcoin trust.
Inflation has eased from its highs.
This
has come without
Is he on now?
Yeah, he's on. Go ahead, finish your statement.
So they launched a private Bitcoin trust. So they've been buying Bitcoin, and then now they got their seeding fund going on. So it feels like they're going to let everybody go through before January 10th, and not let ARK go through alone. If they deny ARK and push it off to March 15th, then we will significantly see this fucking price of Bitcoin more than likely go below 20K, but I don't see us going below 10.
I don't think going that far down. I just think it's going back to where we were, and I'm just going to bring this up really quickly so we can
2025,
because we know, this guy Jerome Powell ain't talking about shit. So I see us on the denial. I see us going back to this trend line right here, Rice.
Pull up the screen.
You can't see it? Damn,
no, you have nothing shared. There you go.
Right here, which is literally the start of your guy Waters Above prediction of us going parabolic, and we pretty much almost did. I see us
what was that, like 30
line.
Where is that?
Well, currently it would be around like $32,000 Bitcoin, somewhere in that region.
Which, let me see, what is that from? Is 20%?
It's retracing pretty much a lot of the 30. It's 30%.
30%.
Retracing a lot of what we've run
put on. Because here's the thing, though, too. I mean, logically speaking, we know that these financial institutions all have not began accumulating.
Nope.
So, and we know that these institutions like to buy when prices are as low as possible.
So wouldn't it make sense,
blood on the street, that we will go down?
The setup would be a denial for ARK. They refile and they get passed with everyone else on March 15th. Or somewhere before.
If they can get past, if ARK can, that's the only way I see it. I mean, I guess that wouldn't be something that ARK could control, but I mean, if ARK was able to reapply and get accepted in that first batch, then it would still kind of be conducive to what I was saying of not allowing like BlackRock through on its own, because anybody who gets first, anyone who gets through
got
first,
denied.
What I don't know which the Grayscale thing is in a really weird area now because of the court shit.
But they got denied, is all I'm saying.
Yeah, but the courts have basically told the SEC you fucked up and you need to correct this.
Yeah, that's right. You did. Yeah, I forgot about that.
So I mean, that's where I think that Grayscale and ARK will be included in the first round. It does, because I mean, if we're speculating that we're going to go back down, what would cause that at this point? Aside from like a black swan event.
That's the only thing.
Right. What would cause it? Yeah. Because everything, I can pretty much say that most of this run that we've been seeing over the past at least 2.5, 3 months has been based off the speculation of the approval of the ETF.
Right. And markets, and guess what, guys?
And when the rug gets pulled out, everybody's going to boo-hoo
Markets
cry.
like to reverse to the mean. Markets reverse
And everybody's
to the mean.
and there's too many people are calling for us to go up, and usually everything happens opposite of what the fucking herd is saying, because the herd is usually fucking wrong. What's Richard Powell saying?
Let's take a look at what Jerome Powell is talking about.
Other data, we estimate that total PCE prices rose 2.6% over the 12 months ending in November, and that excluding the volatile food and energy categories, core PCE prices rose 3.1%. The lower inflation readings over the past several months are welcome, but we will need to see further evidence to build confidence that inflation is moving down sustainably toward our goal. Longer-term inflation expectations appear to remain well anchored, as reflected in a broad range of surveys of households, businesses, and forecasters, as well as measures from financial markets. As is evident from the SEP, we anticipate that the process of getting inflation all the way to 2% will take some time. The median projection in the SEP is 2.8% this year, falls to 2.4% next year, and reaches 2% in 2026. The Fed's monetary policy actions are guided by our mandate to promote maximum employment and stable prices for the American people. My colleagues and I are acutely aware that high inflation imposes significant hardship as it erodes purchasing power, especially for those least able to meet the higher costs of essentials like food, housing, and transportation. We're highly attentive to the risks that high inflation poses to both sides of our mandate, and we are strongly committed to returning inflation to our 2% objective. As I noted earlier, since early last year, we have raised our policy rate by 5.25 percentage points.
That was a coke snort.
And we have decreased our securities holdings by more than $1 trillion. Our restrictive stance of monetary policy is putting downward pressure on economic activity and inflation. The committee decided at today's meeting to maintain the target range for the federal funds rate at 5.25 to 5.5%, and to continue the process of significantly reducing our securities holdings. While we believe that our policy rate is likely at or near its peak for this tightening cycle, the economy has surprised forecasters in many ways since the pandemic, and ongoing progress toward our 2% inflation objective is not assured. We are prepared to tighten policy further if appropriate. We're committed to achieving a stance of monetary policy that is sufficiently restrictive to bring inflation sustainably down to 2% over time, and to keeping policy restrictive until we're confident that inflation is on a path to that objective. In our SEP, FOMC participants wrote down their individual assessments of an appropriate path for the federal funds rate based on what each participant judges to be the most likely scenario going forward. While participants do not view it as likely to be appropriate to raise interest rates further, neither do they want to take the possibility off the table. If the economy evolves as projected, the median participant projects that the appropriate level of the federal funds rate will be 4.6% at the end of 2024, 3.6% at the end of 2025, and 2.9% at the end of 2026, still above the median longer-term rate. These projections are not a committee decision or plan. If the economy does not evolve as projected, the path of policy will adjust as appropriate to foster our maximum employment and price stability goals.
We lied to you people.
In light of the uncertainties and risks and how far we have come, the committee is proceeding carefully. We will continue to make our decisions meeting by meeting based on the totality of the incoming data and their implications for the outlook for economic activity and inflation, as well as the balance of risks. In determining the extent of any additional policy firming that may be appropriate to return inflation to 2% over time, the committee will take into account the cumulative tightening of monetary policy, the lags with which monetary policy affects economic activity and inflation, and economic and financial developments. We remain committed to bringing inflation back down to our 2% goal and to keeping longer-term inflation expectations well anchored. Restoring price stability is essential to set the stage for achieving maximum employment and stable prices over the longer run. To conclude, we understand that our actions affect communities, families, and businesses across the country. Everything we do is in service to our public mission. We at the Fed will do everything we can to achieve our maximum employment and price stability goals. Thank you. I look forward to your questions.
Thank you. Chris Rugaber at Associated Press. I wanted to ask, how
don't
should
you
we
lie and
interpret
say
the
it's gonna be
addition
one
of the
more
word
rate hike?
any before additional firming in the statement? I mean, does that mean that you're pretty much done with rate hikes and the committee has shifted away from a tightening bias and toward a more neutral stance? Thank you.
So,
It's
specifically
ongoing.
on
trap
any,
is ongoing.
we do say that in determining the extent of any additional policy firming that may be appropriate, so any additional policy firming, that sentence. So we added the word any as an acknowledgement that we believe that we are likely at or near the peak rate for this cycle. Participants didn't write down additional hikes that we believe are likely, so that's what we wrote down. But participants also didn't want to take the possibility of further hikes off the table. So that's really what we were thinking.
Mr. Chairman, microphone, sorry. Steve Leisman, CNBC. Happy holidays, Mr.
Steve
Chairman.
Leisman.
Fed Governor Chris Waller said that if inflation continues to fall, then the Fed in the next several months could be cutting interest rates. I wonder if you could comment on whether you agree with Fed Governor Waller on that the Fed would become more restrictive if it didn't cut rates if inflation fell. Thank you, sir.
So, of course, I don't comment on any other officials, even those who work at the Fed. But I'll try to answer your question more broadly. So the way we're looking at it is really this. When we started out, right, we said the first question is how fast to move, and we moved very fast. The second question is really how high to raise the policy rate, and that's really the question that we're still on here. We're very focused on that. As I mentioned, people generally think that we're at or near that, and think it's not likely that we will hike, although they don't take that possibility off the table. So that's when you get to that question, and that's your answer. There's a naturally it begins to be the next question, which is when it will become appropriate to begin dialing back the amount of policy restraint that's in place. So that's really the next question, and that's what people are thinking about and talking about. And I would just say this: we are seeing strong growth that appears to be moderating. We're seeing a labor market that is coming back into balance by so many measures, and we're seeing inflation making real progress. These are the things we've been wanting to see. We can't know. We still have a ways to go. No one is declaring victory. That would be premature. And we can't be guaranteed of this progress. So we're moving carefully in making that assessment of whether we need to do more or not. That's really the question that we're on. But of course, the other question, the question of when will it become appropriate to begin dialing back the amount of policy restraint in place, that begins to come into view. And is clearly a topic of discussion out in the world, and also a discussion for us at our meeting today.
Can you give some color as to the nature of that discussion today? Thank you.
Sure. So it comes up in this way today. Everybody wrote down an SEP forecast, so many people mentioned what their rate forecast was. There was no back and forth, no attempt to sort of reach agreement, like this is what I wrote down, this is what I think, that kind of thing. And preliminary kind of a discussion like that. Not everybody did that, but many people did. And I would say there's a general expectation that this will be a topic for us looking ahead. That's really what happened in today's meeting. I can't do the head count for you in real time, but that's generally what happened today.
Rachel? Hi, Chair Powell. Rachel Siegel from the Washington Post. Thanks for taking our questions. At this point, can you confidently say that the economy has avoided a recession and isn't heading for one now? And if the answer is no, I'm curious about what you'd still be looking for.
I think you can say that there's little basis for thinking that the economy is in a recession now. I would say that. I think there's always a probability that there will be a recession in the next year, and it's a meaningful probability no matter what the economy is doing. So it's always a real possibility. The question is it? So it's a possibility here. I have always felt since the beginning that there was a possibility because of the unusual situation that the economy could cool off in a way that enabled inflation to come down without the kind of large job losses that have often been associated with high inflation and tightening cycles. So far, that's what we're seeing. That's what many forecasters on and off the committee are seeing. This result is not guaranteed. It is far too early to declare victory. And there are certainly risks. It's certainly possible that the economy will behave in an unexpected way. It has done that repeatedly through in the post-pandemic period. Nonetheless, where we are is we see the things that I mentioned.
I'm curious if you're looking back on the past year, you talked about navigating by the stars under cloudy skies. Can you talk about some of the ways in which the economy surprised you most this year, where you thought it would behave in one way and had to pivot to respond? Thanks.
So I think forecasters generally, if you go back a year, were very broadly forecasting a recession for this year, for 2023. And not only did that not happen, that includes Fed forecasters and really essentially all forecasters. A very high proportion of forecasters were expecting very weak growth or a recession. Not only did that not happen, we actually had a very strong year. And that was a combination of strong demand, but also real gains on the supply side. So this was the year when labor force participation picked up, where immigration picked up, where the distortions to supply and demand from the pandemic, the shortages and the bottlenecks really began to unwind. So we had significant supply side gains with strong demand, and we got what looks like a 2.5% plus or a little more than that growth year at a time when potential growth this year might even have been higher than that just because of the healing on the supply side. So that was a surprise to just about everybody. I think the inflation forecast is roughly what people wrote down a year ago, but in a very different setting. And I would say the labor market, because of the stronger growth, has also been significantly better. If you look back at the SEP from a year ago, there was a significant increase in unemployment. That didn't really happen. We're still at 3.7%. So we've seen strong growth, still a tight labor market, but one that's coming back into balance with support from the supply side, a greater supply of labor. It's that's what we see, and that I think that combination was not anticipated broadly.
Thanks, Howard Schneider with Reuters, and thanks for taking the questions. I wonder if you could give a little more color or detail on what motivates the lower rates next year, whether it's a coincidence, for example, that the spread between PCE inflation, core inflation, and the federal funds rate stays constant over the year. Are you simply calibrating against the fall in prices, in the price level that you're expecting, in the rate of inflation that you're expecting, as opposed to supporting the economy?
Nothing quite that mechanical is happening. The SEP really is a bottoms up, built from the bottom up, right? So I think people are looking at what's happening in the economy. And I think if you look at the big difference from September in the SEP, the expectations for inflation this year, both headline and core, have come down, really significantly in 3 months. That's a big piece of this. At the same time, growth turned out to be very strong in the third quarter, is slowing, we believe, as appropriate. And we've had several labor market reports which suggest, again, significant progress toward greater balance across a broad range of indicators. You're seeing so many of the indicators coming back to normal, not all of them. But so I think that people look at that and they write down basically each individual writes down a forecast and a rate forecast that goes with that forecast. We tabulate them and publish it. And so it isn't, you ask about real rates, I take it, that is something that we're very conscious of and aware of and monitor, and it's certainly a big part of, it's a part of how we think about things, but really it's broader financial conditions that matter, and as you well know, it's so hard to know exactly, what the real rate is or exactly how tight policy is at any given time. So you couldn't follow that like it was a rule and think that you would get the right answer all the time. But it's certainly something that we're focused on. And indeed, if you look at the projections, I think the expectation would be
what is
that
he
the
saying?
real rate is declining as we move forward.
Bro,
It sounds like the discussion, if I could follow up,
Absolutely
has
nothing.
already kind of begun.
Sounds like my Econ
I'm wondering,
101 teacher in
just
college.
related to
Yeah,
Steve's
I'm like
question, how
trying
the-
to
how the
force myself
tactics of
not
this
to
play
zone out.
Given the slowing of inflation and the fact that the deeper you get into 2024, the closer you get to a presidential election. Do you want to front load this, in other words?
Yeah, no, we don't think about political events. We don't think about politics. We think about what's the right thing to do for the economy. The minute we start thinking about those things, we just can't do that. We have to think, what's the right thing? We'll do the things that we think are right for the economy at the time when we think is the right time. That's what we'll always do. So I mentioned we're moving carefully. One of the things we're moving carefully about is that decision over, that assessment really over whether we've done enough, really. And you see that people are not writing down rate hikes. That's us thinking that we have done enough, but not feeling that really strongly, confidently, and not wanting to take the possibility of a rate hike off the table. Nonetheless, it's not the base case anymore, obviously, as it was, 60, 90 days ago. So that's how we're approaching things. And as I mentioned, we wrote down this SEP, and it talks about people have individual assessments of when it will be appropriate to start to dial back on the tight policy we have in place. And that's a discussion we'll be having going forward, but that's another assessment that we're going to make very carefully. So as time goes forward.
Nick Timmeros of the Wall Street Journal. Chair Powell, you've argued over the last year that policy tightening started before you actually lifted off because the market anticipated your moves and tightened on your behalf. The market is now easing policy on your behalf by anticipating a funds rate by next September that's a full point below the current level, with cuts beginning around March. Is this something that you are broadly comfortable with?
So this last year has been remarkable for the sort of seesaw thing back and forth we've had over the course of the year of markets moving away and moving back and that kind of thing. So, and what I would just say is that we focus on what we have to do and how we need to use our tools to achieve our goals. And that's what we really focus on. And people are going to have different forecasts about the economy, and those are going to show up in market conditions or they won't, but in any case, we have to do what we think is right. And, in the long run, it's important that financial conditions become aligned or are aligned with what we're trying to accomplish. And in the long run, they will be, of course, because we will do what it takes to get to our goals. And ultimately, that will mean that financial conditions will come along. But in the meantime, there can be back and forth. And, I'm just focused on what's the right thing for us to do. And my colleagues are focused on that, too.
The markets seem to think inflation is coming down credibly. Do you believe we're at the point where inflation is coming down credibly?
Listen, I welcome the progress. I think it's really good to see the progress that we're making.
I welcome the progress.
I think if you look at the 12-month measure, look at the 6-month measures, you see very low numbers. If you look at 12-month measures, you're still well above 2%. You're actually above 3% on core through November at PCE. That isn't to say I'm not calling into question the progress. It's great. We just need to see more. We need to see continued further progress toward getting back to 2%. That's what we need to see. So it's our job to restore price stability, and that it's one of our two jobs along with maximum employment, and they're equal. So we're very focused on doing that. As I mentioned, we're moving carefully at this point. We're pleased with the progress, but we see the need for further progress. And I think it's fair to say there is a lot of uncertainty about going forward. We've seen the economy move in surprising directions, so we're just going to need to see more.
This is so midline. It's not really hawkish per se, and it's not really dovish per se. It's like very middle line.
Thanks for taking our questions.
Finally, a woman.
In the SEP from today, growth is notably below potential in 2024. If growth were to surprise us again in the way that it has for years now by being stronger than expected next year, would it still be possible to cut rates? Or put another way, is below trend growth necessary to cut rates, or would continued progress on inflation alone be sufficient?
So we'll look at the totality of the data. Growth is
keep those glasses on though.
is inflation, so is labor market data. So we'd look at the total, if we make decisions about policy changes going forward, we look at all those things, and particularly about as they affect the outlook. It's ultimately all about the outlook and the balance of risks as well. So that's what we'd be looking for. If we have stronger growth, that'll be good for people. That'll be good for the labor market. It might actually mean that it takes a little longer to get inflation down to 2%. We will get it down to 2%. But if we see stronger growth, we will set policy
Let me jump over
according
here
to what we
Bitcoin
actually see.
chart really quickly, guys.
And so that's how I would answer.
I guess
Bitcoin.
I guess the question I'm asking, if you don't mind a quick follow-up.
Look at Bitcoin, guys.
Bitcoin.
Heading back up to that 200-day moving average. We've broken.
Sure, the stock markets are looking pretty nice as well.
We've broken both of these levels. So that's positive. That's very positive.
Very positive. Yeah, and what Waters was suggesting is that we would go up.
That could mean we need to
like
keep rates higher
mid
for longer.
50s before we retrace down. He was thinking that we could pop off. I think he said, if I'm not mistaken, maybe 56. So.
Yeah. Hey, man, I don't think they're in a very weird situation because they have to, if they start reducing rates or continue to pause,
right? Well, yeah,
everything's gonna rip and go higher. I mean, we're already, like you said earlier, we're already near all-time highs again, and all we've been doing is pausing for the last 2-3 meetings.
Right, and you have all this talk about recession, which all signs point to yes.
I see.
So you shouldn't
see the recession.
You shouldn't see. Ground. You do see the recession.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
A lot of stores closing, people getting laid off.
The recession is going. We're in the beginning stages of a recession, and it doesn't make sense to have markets making all-time highs or close to all-time highs while we're seeing, recession taking place. It's obviously artificial. It's not natural. It's not reality based. Because if you think about how if it was reality based, we wouldn't see the markets prospering on everybody's despair.
Yeah, let's get back to
consistent with 2% inflation over a long period of time. They've been gradually cooling off, but if wages are running around 4%, that's still a bit above, I would say. And I guess there are just a couple of other. The unemployment rate is very, very low, and these are. But I would just say overall, the development of the labor market has been very positive. It's been a good time for workers to find jobs and get solid wage increases.
Claire Jones, Financial Times. I'd say the mood among economists at the moment seems to be one of cautious optimism, which is somewhat corroborated by your forecast, by this sense that we are going to have a soft landing. Yeah, when we hear from the general public, there's a lot of discord about economic conditions.
British women hold
what do you think explains this disconnect?
Hold the mic.
Does it matter for policymakers?
Straight up.
Oh, hold on. I was making sure she was British for one, but
it may be.
It's a common straight up. It's not
proper. She's trying to be proper.
Well, inflation is
okay, gotcha.
Round of applause. That's very good news. The price level is not coming down. Prices of some goods and services are coming down, but overall, in the aggregate, the price level is not good. So people are still living with high prices, and that is something that
they're about the DVDA.
People don't like. And what will happen with that is wages are now real wages are now positive, so that wages are now moving up more than inflation as inflation comes down, and so that might help improve the mood of people. But we see those public opinion surveys. The thing that we can do
gingers have no souls, so maybe that is why she's holding it like that.
Which is to
she could
use our tools to foster price stability, which has such great benefits over such long periods of time, and which is the thing that really enables us to work for and achieve an extended period of high employment, which is so beneficial for families and companies around the country.
poppycock.
Hi, Victoria Guido with Politico. I wanted to ask, you know, on the flip side of if things start to deteriorate rapidly, if we do fall into a recession, if we do start to see
Trades are running hard, ladies and gents. On Bloodalytics, we running hard, as you can see on the screen. Green across the board. Running hard, ladies and gents. Running hard on the Bloodalytics.
the jobless rate starts to rise?
That's not something we're hoping to see. Obviously, we're hoping to see something very different, which is continuation of what we have seen, which is the labor market coming into better balance without a significant increase in unemployment, inflation coming down without a significant increase in unemployment, and growth moderating without a significant increase in unemployment. That's what we're trying very much to achieve, and not something we're looking to see.
But would you take that as a signal that you should cut rates?
Obviously, what we'll do is we'll look at the totality of the data, as I've mentioned a couple of times, and certainly the labor data would be important in that. And if you can describe a situation like that where if there were the beginning of a recession or something like that, then yes, that would certainly weigh heavily in that decision.
Yeah, I mean, the markets are all up. It's nothing like super significant, like over 1%.
Mike McKee from Bloomberg Television Radio. Mr. Chairman, you
up.
were, by your own admission, behind the curve in starting to raise rates to fight inflation. And you said earlier, again, the full effects of our tightening cycle have not yet been felt. How will you decide when to cut rates, and how will you ensure you're not behind the curve there?
Again, he's achieving absolutely nothing with this policy.
Look at the way he's holding it.
We're aware of the risk that we would.
He seems to
hang
hold
on
it
too long.
like he's been
we
holding
know
it.
that that's a risk, and we're very focused on not making that mistake. And we do
The
regard
way that
the two,
somebody
we
holds a
come back into a
microphone
better balance.
speaks
It tells you a lot.
The risk of overdoing it and the risk of
Yeah, it tells
underdoing
you a
it.
lot.
Not only that,
thankfully, I
we
got
were
a
able to
mic
focus
stand.
hard.
Yeah,
on
I'm gonna hold it like this.
stability
It's gonna be
mandate.
out of
And getting
frame,
back to
so
the
it's gonna
point
be all the way
where-
down
which is
here.
What you do when you're very
You know what
far
I mean?
from one
It's
of
gonna
them,
be all the
one
way
or two
down.
mandates.
It's gonna be
You're
you
getting
can't even
now
see.
back to the point where both mandates.
I'm not gonna hold it.
important,
This
and
is a
they're more
magazine,
balanced,
gun
too.
magazine,
So
but let's just
I think
pretend this is a
we'll
mic, ladies and
we'll be
gentlemen.
very
I'm not
much
gonna hold
keeping
it
that
up
in
here.
mind as we make policy
I'm
going
holding
forward.
it.
And the
I'm
things
holding
we'll
it
be
down
looking
here.
at,
I'm holding it
I've
down
already
here.
described.
Way down.
We're
Down here.
obviously
Nope,
looking
can't see
hard
it. Can't see it.
at what's happening with demand. And what we see the same thing other people see, which is a strong economy, which really put up quite a performance in 2023.
Yeah, it
We
looks like
see good evidence and
1.2,
good reason
1.1%. We're seeing in a
that
lot of the
growth
traditional
will come in
markets
lower
up.
next year.
That's big,
And
though.
you
That's
see what the
big for the-
forecasts are. I think the median
And
growth.
Bitcoin
the median
specifically, what are we
participant
looking at?
wrote down 1.4% growth, but we'll have to see.
Trying to pull up
It's
the
very hard to
fucking
predict. We'll also be looking to see progress on inflation, and the labor market
I'm
remaining
up
strong,
right
but
now
ideally
on all I'm only
without
short
seeing the
one
kind of
coin,
large increase in
which
unemployment.
is Matic. If you guys can see here, I'm short Matic. I'm still up on that, but I'm long all my other pairs, and I'm up $1,800 right now.
Nice.
From the trades I have open right now, so everything is definitely going in one direction.
We haven't typically tried to articulate, with one exception, a really specific target levels, which was, some of you will remember the thresholds that we used in, I guess, 2013. The answer is, these are things that we haven't, really worked out yet. We're sort of just at the beginning of that discussion.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Edward Lawrence of Fox Business. So if the Fed cuts rates, as the dot plot is showing, about 75 basis points, does that signal or that there's a belief of weakness next year in the economy?
It wouldn't, if that were, first of all, let me just say, that isn't a plan. That's just accumulating what people wrote down. So that's not something, this, but allow me to say it again. We don't debate or discuss what the right, whose SEP is right. We just say what they are, and we tabulate them and publish them. So it's important for people to know that. But it wouldn't need to be a sign of, it could just be a sign that the economy is normalizing and doesn't need the tight policy. It depends on, the economy can evolve in many different ways, right? So, but it could be more what I just described.
And you focused on core inflation. We've heard from in other meetings. How sticky is core inflation right now?
Well, that's what we're finding out, and we've seen real progress in core inflation. It has been sticky, and famously, the service sector is thought to be stickier. But we've actually seen reasonable progress in non-housing services, which was the area where you would expect to see less progress. We are seeing some progress there, though. In fact, all three of the categories of core are now contributing. Goods, housing services, non-housing services, they're all contributing at different levels, meeting by meeting, or rather report by report. So, yeah.
Okay, let's go to Katerina.
Katerina Saraiva, Bloomberg News. Thanks for taking our questions. I just wanted to ask a little bit about, we had some pretty positive data this morning and yesterday. I'm assuming those were not incorporated into the forecasts we see today. But I just wanted to ask, how that kind of adds to your thinking, on the inflation outlook.
Right. So we got CPI the morning of the first day, and we got PPI the next day, which informs the translation into PCE. So it's very, very late in the game, but nonetheless, participants are allowed to, encouraged to.
They know this shit when they schedule it.
SEP forecasts until probably mid-morning today. After that, so staff has to accumulate all of that and create the
they can
documents.
schedule it like a week after the results come in, so they have more time to take
maybe
the results
late
into
morning.
consideration.
It's okay to update, and I believe some people did update their forecasts based on what we saw today.
You see, how are you, when you think about, starting to think about the
show
rate
her
cuts next
face
year,
Yeah, I
or
want to see how
whenever they
she's holding that
come,
mic.
how do you think about the economy
hold
we're
that
in now, kind of
microphone, lady?
post-pandemic? Do you think that there's been significant structural shifts, and is that going to change
Is it a
how
man?
you
She
look
must
at
be really ugly.
rate
She
cut
must
path?
be a booger, bro. They won't
must
even
be.
show her face.
No.
The question of whether there have been fundamental structural shifts is a really hard to know the answer, and a very
Butterface.
interesting one right now. The one that would affect, one that
She
comes to
probably looks
mind,
like
though,
Jerome
is
Powell's
just the question of
sister.
where the neutral rate
That's
of
what I'm saying,
interest
a
is.
butterface.
And so, for example, if it's risen, and I'm not saying that it has, but if it were to have risen, that would mean that interest rates would need to be a little bit higher to convey the same level of restriction.
Yeah,
The thing
right.
is, we're
She's an
not really
AI.
gonna know
That's
that.
exactly it.
People will be writing papers about that. Still fighting about it. So it's just that it's going to be uncertain.
AI called Butterface.
We're going to be making policy in this difficult,
Booty
uncertain,
face, that's-
really
We're
unprecedented
gonna have to create our own AIs, Bootyface and Butterface.
Someone once said
Booty
that
butter-
you know
booty
the
butter-
natural
Booty
way that this
Butterface.
fight works. And that's really right, but that's very difficult because policy operates
so
with a
much better
lag.
than
So
Grok.
it's one of the reasons why we slowed down this year. We started slowing down at this meeting last year.
Man, we're AI.
Reducing the pace at which we were adding.
We programmed ourselves to
restriction.
do this. We're not
And,
even
over
actually
the
real
course
in
of
this
year,
live
we really
stream,
slowed
just
down
so
a
you
lot
know.
to give those lags time to work.
None of us are.
In terms
We all
of
live in a
demand, has
simulation,
demand
people.
shifted more away from services into goods. You can make a case for that the shift back into
non-turn robot.
services has not been complete, and it doesn't look like it's ongoing, but I don't know if that's right. Maybe people just bought so much stuff that they temporarily don't want any more stuff. They haven't got
I slightly teared up on some of those laughs.
Thank you, Chair Powell. Jennifer Schonberger with Yahoo Finance. You said
Burger.
back in July that you needed to start cutting rates
See that
before
burger.
getting to 2%
She's trying to be
inflation.
proper.
As you mentioned, PCE inflation is
She
now
saw how
running
the
at
ginger did it.
3.5 on core. On a 6-month annual basis, core
But
PCE
notice she's got
is
it
running
closer
at
to her mouth.
2.5%. Though when
It's
you
a
look at
vertical
super
stance as
core
well.
and shelter, they are
She's
Like
probably got a
Irish
lizard
lady.
tongue and can go.
So in looking at the
and
different
just like
components of the data, how much closer
She's
do
close
you
enough
have
to
to
where that
get
Why
lizard
they,
to
tongue.
why they got the
2%
white man's
before you consider cutting rates?
head blocking the view? I don't.
I mean, the reason you wouldn't wait to get to 2%
No, but
to
that's
cut
a very
rates is
bright
that policy
vest.
would be too late. I mean, you'd want to be
Very, very bright vest.
reducing restriction on the economy well before 2%, because before you get to 2%, so you don't overshoot. If we think of restrictive policy as weighing
Man, as
on
close as that
economic activity,
microphone was, there is no overshooting.
it takes a while for policy to get into the economy, affect economic activity, and affect inflation. So I can't give you a precise answer, but if you look at what's in the SEP And, I think you'll see a reasonable estimate of the time lags and things like that it would take.
How can you
shit,
blame
we
a
have
wallet?
another Sol. We
I
got
wouldn't
another
wanna-
Solana
I wouldn't
outage.
wanna identify
I mean, how
any
can you
one
blame a wallet
precise,
unless
You
wallet's
can't
doing an
blame the
update?
wallet. You
because
got to blame the
I
network,
would be
ladies
able to
and
look
gents.
back then and probably find out that it turned out not to be right. But
All right,
we'll be
Griff, let's
looking at
do
it
it.
and looking at the broad collection of factors.
Buttercoin. Everything Buttercoin.
Jean Young with Market News. Wanted to go back to the stickiness of inflation question.
I bet you want
Over the
that
past
sticky icky. Look
couple
at
of
her.
years, a lot of central bankers have talked about the
Adam
more
Charles
difficult
is
last
getting a
mile
woody.
of getting inflation back down to 2%.
Adam
Yet
likes
it's
the
also been
Asians.
surprising how fast inflation has come down this year.
That Asian persuasion,
I'm
baby.
curious,
It's the pearl
do you
of
think
life.
something has changed in our understanding of inflation? Or do you subscribe to this notion still, or
I
is it
think
something
she
different
might
about
looks
the
be.
US
like-
economy?
It
She's a
literally
lesbian.
looks like-
She's a lesbian friend.
No, but it looks
She
like
looks
she
so.
literally
She looks
rolled
like
out
she
of
doesn't want to
bed.
hold that microphone.
Did you see how matted her hair was?
Yeah. Yeah.
What
she's
the hell?
she's a Gaysian.
Factors. The first factor is just the unwinding of what
Gaysian.
happened in the pandemic, the distortions to supply and demand. And the second thing would be our policy, which
Maybe it was a
weighing on
boy.
aggregate demand and actually making it easier for the supply side to recover because of lower demand. We thought those two things were going to be necessary. Sorry, say the last part of your question again.
Because I missed it. Your hair was so bad.
If there's something different about the U.S. economy.
Yeah, so it's not that, it may or may not be about different, the U.S. economy being different. I think that this inflation was not the classic demand overload, pot boiling over kind of inflation that we think about. It was a combination of very strong demand,
Called
without question,
programming,
and
Johnny
unusual
B.
supply
Crypto.
side restrictions, both
Yes,
on the
sir,
goods side, but
programming.
also on the labor side, because we had a participation shock. So this is just very unusual. And, we had the view, my colleagues and I broadly had the view that we could get a lot.
Speaking of programming, which is a
you're
much
essentially
better
a vertical
conversation.
supply.
Have you seen that new Netflix movie that Obama wrote?
Ooh, I haven't, but I've
About
heard
cyber
about
attacks?
it, my friend.
Yeah.
The timing. Oh, good
Yeah,
God.
it's pretty.
That's a
It's
whole
pretty
nother
interesting.
live stream. You watched
Valuetainment
it?
did it. There's a 20-minute. Yeah, I did. There's a 20-minute clip from Valuetainment where they're talking about it, where they're highlighting some of the things that. It's really interesting to see this thing being written, and I would say the way they said he overshadowed the director, that that somebody that's a former U.S. president would write a movie that basically seems to be anti-American ultimately. So yeah, it's pretty insane. But that's predictive programming for you. As it's another version of programming, but it's yeah.
Well,
Yeah, Obama
but
wrote it. It
to
was produced
say
by
with
the
certainty
Obamas.
that the last
They have a
mile is gonna be
Netflix deal.
different. I to suggest that we have any certainty around that. We just don't know. I mean, inflation keeps coming down. The labor market keeps getting back into balance, and it's so far so good. Although
Women
we
can rule.
We kind of assume
Women have their
that it
place.
will get harder
Dior.
from here, but
Let me tell
so
you
far it
something.
hasn't.
If your real face look like that avatar, baby, you gotta come holler at Crypto Blood.
Hey, Chip,
after the
thanks for
live stream.
taking
I'm
our
just saying.
questions.
I mean,
I'm
women
Casella
definitely
with
have a
Barron's.
place.
I
They
want to
have a
ask about
place.
the balance sheet,
100%.
given
Women
the
have-
Fed's
women-
focus now on
women-
proceeding
women-
carefully and considering
women
rate
Just like
are the
a
reason
man
why we
should
do what we do.
Can you talk us through what the latest thinking is, and has
king
there been
queen
any consideration?
should co-rule, work together, complement one another.
Yeah, buddy.
But I got something that
Joshua
I'll let you rule.
McCain says, "Hey, do you see a future with Bitcoin Cash technology going forward? Do you? Someone asked me about this yesterday, Rice.
There'll be a use case for it.
Huh?
There'll be a use case for it. I mean, until we see Bitcoin become like scaled, there's going to be a use case for these forks of Bitcoin. People are still going to use these things, until Bitcoin is scalable, until Bitcoin reaches that point that I think all these other tribal communities that separated from Bitcoin in the first place got away from it. Because like the ordinals has been bringing people back, and
they're about to cancel them.
I know,
You know that, right?
Yeah, well, so they're about to add a level of censorship to
Yes.
Bitcoin. Yeah.
Yes.
So yeah, what are they doing?
Yeah, Bitcoin will never scale. I have to agree with anything that clicks. I don't see it scaling. So
No, they'd
literally-
rather censor the fucking network and look bad than scale.
Yep, it's crazy.
But they can't do anything about stamps. Cannot do anything about the stamps. The stamps are in the UTXO. They would have to rewrite everything about Bitcoin blockchain and basically do like a Bitcoin 2.0 like Ethereum tried doing when they changed from proof of, not that I'm saying it would have to change from proof of mining to proof of stake.
We
but
not gonna be friends. Watch that movie. What movie are you referring to?
oh, is it because I'm white?
I don't know.
Well, white people are apparently the problem in that movie. Don't
What's
gotta
the
watch
use
out.
case for ordinals?
Well, ordinals, you
no
can
use
create
case.
tokens and you can create
Spam.
NFTs. They're NFTs that are on chain versus what we see like with Ethereum being proof of cloud, proof of IPSF, proof of storage. They're actually on chain. They're limited to the amount of data. So a lot of the artwork is very 8-bit kind of artwork, but at the same time, it's on chain NFTs. And then tokenization. We've seen in the past, back in the day, you might remember Counterparty. Well, Counterparty is the underlying plumbing for stamps for the UTXO stuff. But with Counterparty, you create tokens on the Bitcoin network.
See, it's not about, guys. It's not about the best technology winning. We already know that's not how it works.
Look at fucking Solana right now.
So
your favorite coin, Anal OS.
There are a lot. Exactly. EOS technology. Just talking to somebody about that earlier.
Anal OS, the backwards Solana.
Oh yeah, Anal OS. So I don't know. There are a number of things that kind of have to play out behind the scenes, and it's a herd mentality, and we don't know. I don't think it's going to be Bitcoin Cash. Will it go away? No, but I just don't know, man. I can't give you that answer. Have some just as a hedge, but
well, we still see Grayscale. They still have a Bitcoin Cash Trust. We still see like I'm trying to think of the word applications like PayPal still list
real quick
Bitcoin Cash.
Dow Jones just hit all-time high. Round of applause for the rich getting richer up in this bitch.
Where's the S&P?
I'm sure it can't be too far behind.
Well, it's really interesting that I was like dreaming that we were going to hit all-time highs today and didn't realize it and spoke a prediction almost like Cryptodamus style, but was completely obvious.
And
it was like
the
god of crypto was speaking through me and I didn't even know it.
We're not quite there on S&P, Rice. Very, very close.
No, don't use Solana for ordinals. Solana is centralized. That is the freaking problem that we have with Solana. It is centralized. It goes against the whole ethos of decentralization. And it's easy to make a project that is going to be faster than other projects if you're centralized, because you're sacrificing the decentralization to get that throughput, that scalability.
Wait a minute.
Blockchain trilemma.
Mr. Sakila, head guy at Solana said Ethereum was Windows 95 and Solana was 2000. Now, you can't tell me, guys, that
the camera went away again.
Yeah, you can't tell me that these guys ain't watching Crypto Blood. Clearly, I came up with that. Clearly. Stop. Come on, give a brother some credit.
DM Fusion TV. You can contact Crypto Blood on Cameo soon. He's going to be on Cameo after his Netflix debut comes out. He's going to be charging $400 a session. He's going to be competing with George Santos. That's his name. He's on there. You're going to be competing with George Santos.
Yeah, buddy. Cameo. Oh yeah. Someone asked me. I think my crypto said, when is the documentary on Netflix coming out? It is coming out. It's airing on January 1st, guys. So definitely, check it out.
Speaking of, and I'm glad it's coming out January 1st because we're starting off the year with some really cool shit. This is coming out January 1st, and then January 3rd. I want to be doing an interview next week that I'm going to release probably January 1st or 2nd, because the cartoon that I've fallen in love with years ago, Bitcoin and Friends, are relaunching with better animation, changes in storyline. So they're going to be redoing the entire first season, and their first episode of the new revamped Bitcoin and Friends is coming out January 3rd.
Nice. All right. Yeah. Sweet.
So I got a lot of stuff to look forward to the beginning of the year.
It's so funny with this movie. The guy you see on the screen, Ray, actually hit me up 2 days ago. I was like, yo, you see the trailer? I'm like, No, damn. I didn't even, I've been waiting for a while to get some update from them.
So you didn't even know the trailer was out yet?
Didn't even know the trailer. Ray himself hit me up on Instagram like, yo, Blood, you see the trailer? So, yeah, I'm going to have him on the show maybe later this week.
KLM, Ben Armstrong doesn't know what he's talking about. He doesn't. He doesn't at all.
Armstrong said
he considers himself the leader of the XRP army, and he thinks he's the what is his? I think he came up with the term Sultan of Solana. Yeah. Like, okay, yeah.
What happened to the XRP army, ladies and gentlemen?
He still is. He just keep vetting all these centralized projects. He's trying to get his seat at the World Economic Forum. Remember,
Ben is an attention whore, unfortunately, and he jumps to whatever is hot. The community doesn't want him. He's just a hot mess, man. Oh my God. I talked to Adam the other day. I got to tell you about that. But
yeah, we should talk about that privately. But
yep. But yeah, guys, interesting. So you had a few articles that you pulled up, and I want to talk about this because you highlighted some things. What's going on? This largest asset manager in the world launches Bitcoin private trust. All right.
Look at the date. Look at the date. Look at the date.
Look at the date. Look at the date. The date is August 14th, 2022.
Yes, I didn't know I sounded like I was from India there, but okay.
No, I'm.
But yeah, I mean,
Indian
basically,
this
is a private. It was pretty good. This is a private Bitcoin trust they launched. I mean, in a sense, what Grayscale has is a public trust. So this is a private version of what Grayscale has going on. It's offered to their private clients. Now, how does that translate? It translates into they own fucking Bitcoin for one. How much? We don't know because it's a private trust.
Rice. I didn't know about
this. I had to shout out, and I think I remember about this, but I just forgot about it. But it was British Hodl that brought it to my attention when I brought him on for the interview that I did about a week and a half ago. So we talked about that, and then I sent you some other articles which talk about I was looking at that comment. The other article talking about the street talking about is BlackRock the third largest holder of Bitcoin, which could be potentially possible. And then seeing that they started their seeding. That's something else that I need to look into is the seeding, because how much time are they allowed to legally start a seeding round before the actual product launches? There's got to be some sort of time frame, or they would have done this before. They would have done this. To me, it would have happened when they launched it. They would have launched a seeding round. So there's got to be some sort of,
ladies and gents,
got to be something in parameter with that. So I'm wondering what kind of length of time from starting a seed round or seed fund that you're allowed to, that the product is then launched. Like, is it within 30 days prior to?
The seeding isn't. No, that I don't think that was what the seed funding was for. It's for like, it's for the cost, I believe, in relation to getting it up and running. If I'm not mistaken, I don't know. Maybe not.
I thought it was a way to start the actual public purchasing.
But
$100,000 is not a lot, obviously. Yeah,
that's 2 bit 3. What at this point?
2.5.
2.5 Bitcoin. I can't be. Let me see here.
So he's buying the actual shares, I guess.
Right.
So the 100,000 is going into shares.
Right.
But it's showing you that more things are happening, that we're getting closer to that point. So I'm wondering what the time frame is again of allowing for the acceptance of the seeding before the product is launched.
It seems
so. It's either 30, 90, 120 days. It'll be something like that.
Yeah, but I don't see it being in literally, bro, less than 30 days.
So you're saying you think that the ETF that on January, if you want to pull back up that graphic. that on January 10th, where we see the final deadline for ARK Invest, you think the Cryptodamus prediction is that
Yes,
ARK is going to be denied.
Denied.
They will reapply, and everyone will get approved on or before the 15th of March, which is the deadline for iShares Bitcoin Trust.
Man, it's the deadline.
Did I get it right?
Couldn't say it any better.
Okay.
iShares, Bitwise,
There you have it, friends.
Van Eck, Wisdom Tree, Investco, Wise Origins. Doesn't it make sense to just
everybody from Valkyrie up the list? If you go back on it, Valkyrie up, I think.
Yep.
The other ones, they're later in the game. They'll get accepted, but they won't be in the first.
Yeah. So it's coming. I definitely don't deny.
David, I get what you're saying with seed funding is from private, usually personal investors, what would typically be called an angel investor, but they also have what we showed, in case you missed it, the Bitcoin private trust that was issued that was the article from August of 2022 with the private trust. So they've been accumulating. This is from the street talking about, because there is a speculation of who's been buying all these Bitcoin in this particular address.
Right.
And people are speculating that it is BlackRock. And if it is BlackRock, then they are the third largest holder of Bitcoin.
Oh, you're going underwater again.
I don't know what the fuck it is.
Now you're back. You're back.
Somebody's got to be fucking with my shit, though. That's all I can say. Is anybody going to join us? We do have the lines open. I think we're going to be streaming for at least another 20, 30 minutes. So
about
definitely
20 minutes, 30 minutes. Come on in, ladies and gents.
We're definitely ready to get you guys' opinions on anything we've talked about.
Yeah. So we'll see, bro. But markets doing very well. We've got 52-week high, which is near all-time high for S&P 500 today, guys. Dow Jones just reached an all-time high.
All time. Which gold hit an all-time high this year as well, it's been pretty interesting.
Has been an interesting year, but man, next year is going to be
off the chain.
Show. It's going to be a shit.
It's going to be off the chain, dude. That's what it's going to be.
Round of applause. Man, oh man. Do you still see us having an election, Rice?
Hold on, I'm trying to blink.
Blink twice, man.
I did.
Twice.
I did 3 times. He's under the desk right here, pleasuring me.
Oh man.
Because you guys have heard all the rumors about Ben Armstrong being gay, right?
That's a whole nother conversation, bro. I mean, the stories I've heard,
and you've heard
I've heard more than I've been privy to everything.
You've been privy.
Like, you guys
probably
don't
have people crying on your shoulders telling you shit.
Yo, what the is it?
I can only imagine Nick Diamante like hugging you, crying, sobbing to the point that your Gucci shirt just has tear stains.
Yo, like, do roids make you gay?
It hurts so much.
Huh?
I don't know. But when you got to make a point to say you're not gay, it's a reverse psychology game, and it means you're gay, or at least you're bi. So, or a trisexual. Maybe you can call it that.
Remember you had him caught on live doing a search, and the auto search query came up. How do you know if you're gay? Did you see that?
No.
Yeah, on the live stream. Yeah, he was typing something, and the first thing up there was, how do you know if you're gay?
Nice. I mean, the good thing is I think that, I'm hoping that eventually the truth will come out and there won't be some sort of settlement with an NDA where nobody can really say the truth of what happened.
I hope so, too. I hope not.
Because that's going to be the only disappointing thing.
Default in the building. What's going on, Default?
What's going on, man?
What's up, stranger?
What's up? I heard you were missing or something like that. But
I was, but I'm free now. Free Rice.
Where Alex Jones got you, or
it was Alex Jones, Ben Armstrong in a UFO together.
Oh my!
I thought maybe.
And the screenplay was written by Barack Obama.
I sent you the zombie link, right?
Yeah,
in,
yeah,
the channel. Yeah.
yeah. We shared it in our Twitter group.
Oh yeah, yo, ladies and gents, we got a crazy Twitter group. Oh my God.
Yeah,
That shit needs to go live, bro.
We're gonna reconvene the group soon or the show soon. But I was even thinking like possibly like if you're available this weekend. But Alex Jones, I think he's definitely on the tip of a lot of people's tongues right now. With
you know what's so crazy? The dude that's been hosting these epic
Nawal,
he follows me on Twitter. I'm like, damn.
Nice.
I had to go follow him back.
He's apparently a crypto dude. Try to see if you can get on some of his spaces, man.
I'm sure I could, but
So
I'm like,
that's the best way for you to do it.
He does some epic stuff, man.
He's going to be doing something with the guy from Crypto Tips. I forget his name because there's a couple that do it. Heidi and I forget the other guy's, her husband or boyfriend's name. But he's going to be doing a spaces with him soon. He mentioned, so he's very much into the crypto scene.
Yes, he is. Yes,
so I would definitely maybe try to reach out to him.
Yeah, I'll reach out to him, DM him.
That's the only way that's the only way we get out of the shadows, motherfucker.
Yeah, you're right about that. Pull us up, motherfucker. Pull us up.
People pulling us into the light.
So, Default, tell us what's good, man. What's your reaction to just give me your overall thoughts about the markets. You always come on saying you predicted this and that, and I'm not saying you haven't, but that's, I just want to know where you stand with things.
Well, mostly the bond market. That's what I've been following the most the last couple months, actually.
Smart.
Because, like I was saying, mid-October, I was looking at the chart. I was looking at, the weekly time scale. You had, the setup for that triple MACD and RSI bearish divergence on the weekly. And so I just figured, like, with the technical setup, and it was near resistance, I was like, probably right here is probably your top of your rates, whatever. It's inverse, but, just to keep it simple, if actually rates going down, or it means rates going up, but you understand, but it's the inverse, whatever. But I was saying that like October, like mid-October, I don't remember the date exactly, and I was like, rates aren't going, there's going to be no more rate hikes, and I don't know what the excuse would be for the rate cuts, which hasn't happened yet for the Fed side, but we're down like 20% since then. And I mean, if people are usually when rates go down, rates go down before the Fed actually makes a move, and then if the Fed is making a move, you're probably having some issues in the economy. So we'll see what happens in the next 6 to 12 months. But I mean, crypto is benefiting from it. Stock market, like the S&P, it looks like it's probably going to go to an all-time high. It just, everything looks okay right now.
So
that's just my thoughts.
What do you think the Fed is thinking right now, since they've done all this rate hiking to try to calm down asset prices, and it literally we're about to be further than where we were when they started this rate hike stuff. So, like,
I mean, money. The people with capital got to put the money somewhere, and I mean, they're putting it back into the market. And it's really what's weird is, like, when you look at the S&P and stuff like that, it's really like it's the big players, just like the Apples.
Yeah, it's like a handful of companies that are pulling the whole fucking market up.
Seven companies that's holding the.
Yeah, it's not the entirety of the S&P. It's just a few select that are pulling up it's like the rising tide raises all boats kind of theory idea.
Yeah, and now, like, recently, last couple of weeks, like, more so the smaller caps are starting to move higher. So maybe that's a positive sign. But I mean, right now the Fed is their soft landing. Technically, right now is working. Like, you can say what you want to say, but these are the results. Like, the stock market is improving. Is the real economy improving? I don't believe so. But
so that's not a soft landing then.
I know, but I'm just saying.
It's perception-wise. Well, that's where I was saying we're disconnected from reality, and that's what I was saying earlier. Is we can't see this kind of turmoil, with the everyday individual, the average Joe, and then see the stock markets just hitting all-time highs. It just doesn't. It doesn't make any sort of like actual sense at all. It's completely
What I-
insane in my opinion.
What I think is, and I think somebody said like in the comments or something like a bull trap or something like that.
Yeah,
I
saw
mean,
that.
I wouldn't call it. It's not bull trap. I mean, you've been bullish since like last November. You've been in an uptrend since then. But what could it be? It could be, the last hurrah before you have a. I mean, we had some major corrections and we had a crash. November 2022. But there could be something more substantial, like, and I'm talking about long term, like you're looking at your monthly time frame. But right now, nobody knows. Like right now, everybody is just, well, not everybody. People with capital have been riding a bull market right now. So it is what it is. Like, can't fight it. You just, follow the trend. And then if there's any signs of weaknesses, then I'll change my stance on it. But
what's your take on Bitcoin going in? Okay, I want to ask, because this is the big question. Everyone is pricing it in my opinion. This run up since October 14th. Are we going to see spot ETF passed on January or before January 10th?
I have no idea, honestly.
I didn't know your name is John Hill. I'm just seeing this for the first time. I thought your mom named you Default.
No, that's my name, man. But no, I think the whether or not the ETF comes or not, to me, I've been questioning since the beginning, like, why is there a need for it? That's more my stance. I really don't care if it comes or not. I just think it's a.
Well, not to cut you off, the need for the spot ETF is it's a conduit for your pension funds to directly.
I understand.
Well, it's an
that.
expansion. It's a complete expansion of the whole entire traditional legacy system. There's a whole lot that they can do with an ETF, and a Bitcoin ETF is going to allow for the financialization of Bitcoin within the TradFi system.
I understand the excuse for the ETF. I'm looking at it more so as more traditionalist, being in the space since late 2012. It's convoluted to me. Like, why you don't need a middleman for holding cryptocurrencies. And
of course not. Of course
you're
not.
You're just adding.
No, I know. The banks just don't want to custody the actual underlying asset, or they don't want to use the underlying asset and have it in that situation. So that's why they're using the paper.
It transfers risk of holding Bitcoin. If a pension fund can just go to Coinbase and buy a whole bunch of Bitcoin, and I guess leave it on Coinbase's.
So PJ Creamer said something really interesting about zero opportunity with all the money in the world to pay back our debt, let alone what we continue to accrue. There's an event coming. It's just a fact. I'm hedging with crypto and looking to position with physical, tangible assets. And if you think about this, I want to go back to something that Default said in just a moment, but our system is set up that if you get, let's just say that there's only $10 that exists in the world. You get a $10 loan and the bank is telling you got to pay back $11. How do you pay back that 11th dollar if there's only $10 that exists? So that's how the system is designed, unfortunately. And the important thing that Default said at the beginning of this is our bond market. The bond market is a foundation of our entire debt-based system. And we're getting to a point now with these bond biddings that are going on that the buyers are diminishing, and it looks like we're buying back our own bonds. I did an interview a few weeks ago with Lynette Zhang about this.
Have you talked to her since?
No, I need to get back in touch with her. I was supposed to get her number, but that wasn't given to me yet. So I need to get back in touch with her. I'm glad you reminded me. Because I mean, that is the foundation of our entire debt-based system. And somebody mentioned Gregory Mannarino earlier, and Gregory Mannarino's been one that's been saying that you need to pay attention when the debt market is underwater. When the debt market itself, which is the bond markets, are having problems, that's when you need to pay attention.
I'm with Mr. Sakila. PPT is causing this rally. Round of applause for PPT. And I'm not talking about Nico Williams.
It's all about the
Populous.
PPT.
talking about the plunge protection team. They are clearly propping this market up, and it's easy to do it with the way the structure of the market is done because all they have to buy is 7 stocks, right? All they got to do is buy 7 stocks.
Yeah.
So I don't know, man.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
It's really not crazy. I mean, to keep it simple, man, this whole system's a Ponzi scheme.
Mm-hmm.
And when you look at it from that aspect, they're just going to come up with different rules to keep the system going. It is what it is. But right now, like I said, the trend is up.
Not for Bitcoin, not for crypto. Sorry.
Oh, for crypto, I'm just.
No, I was saying something based. J Crypto Miner was saying new all-time highs coming, and I'm just saying not for crypto. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Yeah, I'm still. I mean, I've stated, and I think maybe people want to say it's bold or whatever. I don't really think it's bold. I mean, and I could be absolutely wrong. I just don't know if we ever get to a new all-time high in Bitcoin. And I keep saying that.
That's an interesting take.
It kind of transitions to that ETF. I don't understand the need for it other than manipulating the space.
Credit expansion. Credit expansion. A lot of these banks are underwater because of what's happened with the bond market, because a lot of them have been playing safe bets and investing in treasury bonds, which has not been beneficial to them with the interest rates being like they are.
Bro, we definitely hit. We go way beyond all-time highs in Bitcoin if that ETF is passed because.
But I don't see it happening before the halving.
Oh, maybe not. But at the end of the day,
towards the end of 2024.
Yeah, that's more liquidity hitting a finite asset class.
That like
Galaxy
UAE
Digital
money. There's so much money that's going to come in.
Yeah,
once
so
the
much.
ETF
And
is
Galaxy
passed.
Digital has given numbers default to the tune of about an additional $14 trillion of new money hitting Bitcoin after the spot ETF in the first year and doubling that in the second year.
Those are projections.
And there's people I know in the space. There's people I know in the space that, and I'm not going to mention their names, that would rather have an ETF because they don't have to worry about anybody getting access to their private keys. And these are people that are in the space, people that me and Blood are friends with, that understand the whole entire game, but would rather have their situation be in an ETF because they're protected.
Honestly, I just think it's just another way to get more capital into this space. And it is what it is. I'm just not a fan of it, honestly. And like I said, I'm looking for a more traditional perspective.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't want anybody thinking I'm not a fan either.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of it either.
I don't want to see the TradFi system get involved. But the thing is, we can't prevent it. I mean, anybody can get invested. That's the beautiful thing about
from the era of crypto.
Anybody can get involved.
He comes from the era of crypto like me. We got in like 10 years ago, 13. So it's a total like 180 from what we were sold on what Bitcoin is or was. So I totally understand what you're saying for sure. But you got to understand the powers that be, Wall Street, they have to come in and confiscate and try to control everything. And this is their move to try to control everything. And this is our last opportunity to be kind of finally front running the powers that be. Because in order for them to control it, they got to buy it up. And it's going to push the price up.
I think
it will.
The fact
supply and demand, simple supply and demand. And then having coming up, it just adds that extra equation to just more to the whole situation. It's just that perfect storm for what Satoshi, the group, the individual, the whole idea of the scarcity factor, the supply and demand, the reason why there's a reduction every 4 years with the halving is playing out perfectly with the institutions having to purchase up said Bitcoin for the underlying asset of the spot ETF. And then the crazy thing is they're talking about tokenizing all this stuff anyway. So then they're going to have to be transparent about their holdings. It's not going to be like it would be with the gold and silver markets where they're holding more than the actual physical and they're manipulating the price. Because in this sense, it would be counteractive for these institutions to want Bitcoin to go down once the ETF is passed.
Right.
for it to go down before it's passed. Hell yeah, they want it to go down because then they can buy up at better opportunities. But once it's passed, they're only going to profit from it going up. Everybody that's involved all the way up and down the line, all the brokers, all the middlemen, all the fucking bullshit that we're trying to get away from to begin with.
Yeah.
We'll see. Well, like I said, I have my stance. It's more so I just think we're just in a retrace rally at the current moment. And I could be absolutely wrong. Like, I'm not sitting here like pounding
So
on the
you think we
table,
go
like,
lower?
We have 5 months to the halving,
anything's
PJ.
possible. Anything's
No, I know,
possible,
but
man.
give me a percentage. Give me a probability percentage on that. How probable is it that we go lower from here?
I think it's a coin flip. I don't think I think we're at least hitting 48. I think we're at least going to 48, to 618.
Okay.
If not, if we break 48, then probably, I think Rice was saying like 55, 56. That's possible. I mean, 61 is possible. But my thing is, I just don't see all-time high yet. I don't see a setup for all-time high. And I mean, right now we're kind of like, you look at the larger time scales, we're getting over, we're overbought. It's just, there's just no sign of weakness yet. But we'll see. Let's see what happens in the next couple of weeks. But that's my view on the whole market right now for crypto. The whole ETF thing, the whole narrative thing is just, it's funny to me because what's really funny to me is the maxis that, you know, they were so Bitcoin, and they're basically, you know, the bitch of Wall Street right now, winning this ETF. I just think it's hilarious to me.
Yeah.
You sit back, it's like you're wanting this.
We're cheering for the TradFi system with
Right.
the spot ETF. People are cheering for it when it should make you want to throw up in your mouth.
Exactly.
It's hilarious, man.
Well,
But
Default,
I'm
thanks for coming on, bro. I'm gonna get
No
this
problem.
last guy in. Crypto King from the Hex community is in the building. Let's get him in. Thanks, Default, for coming on. Let's get
Good seeing you,
Crypto
Default.
King in the
I'm
building.
PJ Creamer.
fellas?
PJ
Hey,
Creamer, I put a link
my
for
man.
Bitcoin Block Half in the live chat, and we're looking at right now an estimate of April 23rd of 2024. So for the halving.
All right, Crypto King. Look, where in the world is Richard San Diego?
Yeah, guys. What's up?
Where is he, man? I know you know. Of all people, you know where Richard San Diego is. Where is he?
Yeah. Well, I came on to thank you guys for doing a little bit of coverage on that. But if y'all could join up to almost 40,000 signers to defend freedom of speech in crypto, pulsepetition.org. Would really appreciate your help on backing that. As far as the case, I mean, Crypto Coffee is one of our big YouTubers in the community, and he did an extensive review of the case. And I don't know, everybody has their own opinion, so it's all good. But yeah, check out that pulsepetition.org. I mean, just like we all in the crypto community got behind the XRP case, this is the same thing that's happening with Hex and Richard Hart. So we appreciate if you could sign that, and please share. You know, there's an opportunity to share it once you do sign it. Yeah, go ahead and review the whole, you know, the details about the
difference here, though.
against the corrupt SEC.
People have their opinions about Richard Hart, and I do as well. Okay, but the difference between this situation and XRP, I have no sympathy for XRP because they're trying to help the banks come in and play with us. Get out of here. At least with Richard Hart.
They want the central bank digital currency to be built on the XRPL. They definitely want to work with the fucking banking system.
So I have no sympathy
World Economic
for
Forum partners.
Right. I have no sympathy for them. So at least with this situation, guys, we could try. I don't know if this is the proper way. I have my opinions about that.
I did sign it.
I don't think this shit is going to do anything.
No problem.
But yeah, at least try to do something for them. You know, show some support.
And one more thing before I go, because I'm up here earlier. It's almost 6 a.m. in Japan. I'm watching you guys live. But
crazy,
if you
man.
guys could go out and check out the Highest of Stakes documentary. It's the #1 crypto documentary in history. Bitcoin, not even Ethereum, have a documentary that made it to a theatrical release. The only one that did it was Hex and Monero. Monero had a theatrical documentary. So check out the Highest of Stakes. And I love you guys. Appreciate you having me on.
Love it. And thank you for everything.
Thank you for your support, man. Thank you for your
this.
service, bro. We appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you for your service,
Yep.
man. I'm pro-military. Just hate our government.
Take it easy.
All right, brother. All right. Yeah, that's it, man. Let's wrap up Rice. I know you got to go. Guys, make sure you guys go follow Rice.
Miss you, homie.
Yeah, it's been good to have you back on. He's out of jail.
I'm free.
Thug Life, Rice TVX.
Rice Life.
Rice Life. Check them out right there. Follow me on Twitter as well at CryptoBlood_. Follow me on Rumble. All right, follow Rice on Rumble. I have a link to his Twitter, and you can get to all of his info.
Yeah, you can find, if you go to
there.
ricetvx.com, people can find all my social links, and you can watch both my YouTube channels directly from my website, ricetvx.com.
All right, ladies and gents, again, this is another episode of Off the Chain. That's number 103. And we out of here, people. Holla.
Holla. Yeah. Smash up them likes. Like booties, like faces, like buttons. Smash. Subscribe.
Fuck it. Do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live.
Okay. Ready?
Fucking thing sucks. We'll do it live.
Muchas gracias.